Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today I want to go over the new Dark Zone changes that were made to the Division 2 in the latest Year 5 Season 2 update, and with their contributions, just kind of recap the accrued value that I think the DZ has really earned in the current day Division 2 endgame because it's gotten pretty good. So this video is just going to be kind of a hybrid of a PSA, a guide, and a discussion about the Dark Zone overall, and specifically what's changed with Season 2. So if you like the video and you want more informative content like it, then be sure to click that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. But let's get right to it, and let's start off with the new changes that with Season 2, you can now visit any of the 3 Dark Zone vendors. As a reminder, there is one stationed outside the main entrance to all 3 of the Dark Zones. And in their inventories, they will now always have an exotic cache available for 170 Dark Zone resources. Now this is really great, and that is for a couple of reasons. Previously, the Dark Zone resource as a material type was pretty much useless, right? Occasionally there would be a good item in these vendors' inventories and you could spend it there, but ever since Year 1, people have just been accruing these resources so much up in their stashes, and there was nothing to spend it on because the vendors just didn't really have anything competitive or worthwhile. Additionally, this just provides a really great alternative for the countdown exotic cache grind that you can do for anybody who prefers PvP or the Dark Zone. But going back to my last point, everybody needs to check their stash right now. I'll show you some footage of what it looked like for mine, but this is just a light example. Some people have been saving these resources up since Year 1, and they have over 1,000 stacks of these things in their stash. I'm not kidding. So go to your stash, check the special deliveries, and see if you have any extra DZ resources saved up in there, because if you do, you can spend all of what you have in your inventory and then claim all of that and spend that as well and get a bunch of exotics for free right now. So that's really great, but let's say that you don't have any DZ resources saved up. Let's quickly go over how you actually acquire this material now that they actually do have a big purpose in the endgame. And I also want to touch on how this now fits into the overall kind of loop of the Dark Zone, and like I said at the beginning, how that's becoming more and more relevant in the endgame. So firstly, there are 2 primary ways to acquire DZ resources. The first is that in any of the Dark Zones that you may be playing in, there are these material boxes laying around the DZ. They look kind of like the electronics boxes, but a bit smaller. They're more rectangular. These have DZ resources within them, and when you pick them up, they will go directly to your inventory, so you want to make sure you have at least a little space in there so that you can actually collect them. And the secondary way is to deconstruct any item within the Dark Zone. So any contaminated items that you get out of the chests on the ground or that an enemy drops, those will give you a DZ resource. Just keep in mind that those resources go to your contaminated bag and they then do need to be extracted, and that's when they then show up in your stash. So you do need to extract those, don't forget that, and walk out the door and accidentally deconstruct them. Now speaking to the overall loop of the Dark Zone, this just enhances it. Back with Season 10, the devs made the really big change of adding in the chance to get exotic components from Dark Zone chests at a 25% drop rate, which is the highest in the game. And again, that really feeds into the idea of the DZ being the best place to farm in the endgame, so I've always loved that change all the way back to when it was announced. But now, it just makes the loop even more worthwhile, because you can run landmarks, and any gear you get there, you can deconstruct to get those DZ resources into your bag. You can claim the chests if you didn't know there was one at every landmark, and now you're basically doubling your efforts to get exotics, whether you need them for the actual exotics themselves, for expertise, or for exotic components. This can now all go into that endgame pursuit, and that's really cool. Just to clarify, however, if you do get exotic components from the chests, those go directly into your inventory, but once again, DZ resources that you get from deconstructing contaminated items will go into your Dark Zone bag, and that does need to be extracted. But yeah, guys, like I've been saying, overall, this just continues to fulfill the promise of the DZ being the best endgame farming spot, which is what it was meant to be from the beginning. And so as a DZ player myself, I'm really pleased by this change, and I hope we continue to see changes like this in the future. But that's just going to about do it for me. If you have any questions about this new change or the overall system, do let me know, and I want to hear your thoughts on this new change that we got in Season 2. Does this make the Dark Zone any more attractive to you? What changes do you think it needs in the future to make it even more relevant? Let me know all of it down below. That is going to do it for me today, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. RogueGold. Ow.